Okay, here we go. Monday, June 26, 2017, 2:09 p.m. Live from Chicago, Illinois. Hello, Tiny Angry Crab. Welcome. Alexis Ray, Watery Tart, Kind Zentazukan, and Haphazard. And Ed Riofer. Okay, so let me think about what I want to do today. Hey, Arfui. Oh, damn, that's pretty good. Well, I was doing, I don't know if I can hit this on a 1 rep max. I can do, because I was doing 5x5 and that was at 195 pounds. So I can definitely do 201. Maybe like 205. So I've got some catching up to do. All right. Pretty much. Now, in about 15 minutes, I'll have to take a quick break because my landlady is coming to pick up some packages. She accidentally had them shipped here instead of her place. But anyway. The Swall Cube. By the way, there's an interesting article from Robert Yang. It's a game dev academic. Might be interesting for you guys to take a look at this with all the indie apocalypse talk. God, the placeholder sound for that is so bad. Hey, jazz punk. All right, let's go ahead. There's a new DLC for Jazz Punk, I believe. I don't know if you're one of the devs or you just really like the name of the game. Let's start connecting things up. shall we? Hey, Benjo. Was it hard to make the whole map? It doesn't really fit inside the cube. It's all illusions. Hey, what's up, Jet? Ah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna start showing now. So anyway, here's a list of some levels. Oh, you guys can't really see it, it's too bright. But I need to start a new list. So let's do Mandela Worlds today. So set up Mandela Worlds, and I have connect world growing. Oh, looks like I forgot. Yeah, you know what? I forgot World 0, World 10. There are trees. There are abstract. Not all garden needs to have flowers. Not all gardens. Hey, Hassam. And Mishfire, hello, welcome. So I'm really happy with the Manifold Garden Instagram page. I am now reaping the fruits of my labor. Yeah, because it's not, this thing's only cool if you can keep scrolling and stuff keeps showing up. So I need to get better at posting stuff every day. Just slowly fill this up. Oh yeah? Is it one of those ones that just like goes away after a little bit? Nowadays, yeah, you just pay $100. It's the beginning of the end. The floodgates have opened. I mean, previously you just pay 100. Oh, you know what? My landlady's here. I'll be right back. All right, package drop off successful. Yeah, I mean, you know, getting your game on Steam is not really the end goal anymore. That being on Steam alone is not a ticket to success these days. I don't even know if it ever was, really, you know, like maybe there was like a period of 10 months or something, but yeah, it hasn't been the case for a long time. Let me get some more water. Yeah, I do think it should be a percentage based on revenue. You know, if you make like under 100,000 revenue, you get you know, Steam takes like a 10% cut, and maybe after a certain amount, then it's 30. That seems fair to me. Otherwise, it's like, though I suppose, I mean, we are all still using the same infrastructure. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We will see. The other thing that I'm wondering about too is, you know, I'm seeing a lot of these indie apocalypse articles. They seem to be written by people who've been in the industry for a while, and I'm wondering if part of that is due to part of that is because they're trying to sort of use techniques and strategies that worked in the past in the current marketplace. And that's not working. But yeah, I have no idea. We will see. You know, it doesn't do me a whole lot of good to worry about that. I feel like, you know, I kind of just need to make the best game I can. You know, do the marketing on my own, just kind of assume that I'm not getting any external help, and then see what happens. I am confident about Manifold Garden. I am feeling pretty confident. I think there's not a whole lot of games that look like this. You know, I think the biggest thing that I feel is a negative, and it's not even really negative, is being like people saying it's just Antichamber 2. And that doesn't really bother me anymore because I know it's not. And it's very different. So it's more just, I think there's not a lot of games with edge detection and kind of a minimalist art style. So yeah, I feel like it's very different than what's out there, and it doesn't look like anything in the market currently. One thing I would like is maybe more support from a big platform. But that seems to be more on that it seems like Xbox is now the one that's putting more focus on indies, or more than the others. Doesn't seem like Sony's really, at least just sort of based on what we saw at E3. But you know, that stuff is very much outside of my control. Thank you, Nightbot. Oops. Nightbot or the creator of Nightbot? Praetorian. Buonasera. Is there a... Daybot's sleeping right now. Why is it called Nightbot anyway? So really enjoying Dishonored 2 so far. My only problem, and it's not even really a problem, is it's hard to choke people when they're sitting down. Because it looks like the way you have to choke someone is you have to get behind them. There are two problems. There are two things that I don't like about Dishonored 2. So it's really hard to do the non-lethal attack because you like have to be at the right spot. It's much easier to kill someone because I think you can always like swing your sword, and then I think it's just sort of like a collision thing. Like if they're sitting down, it's really hard to choke them. But that's kind of a very minor complaint. And then the other thing is what's the other problem? It's harder to choke them than it is to kill them. What was my other complaint? Oh, they have the right joystick on the controller when you press down is it does like the zoom in, like she's looking through a little telescope, and I always press it by accident every time I'm like being attacked, because then I tense up and I always press down. So I should remap it. Yeah, I should just remap it to the D-pad. I am, yeah. That's true. Why am I? So it's weird because when I play Doom, I like the mouse and keyboard. I think it's because it uses the left and right controls a lot. I don't know why I'm playing Dishonored with. I think just because I played Dishonored 1 with. You know what it is? It's because it's a stealth game. I think stealth games are easier with the controller. Yeah, but Doom, I don't even. I normally work with trackball. Doom, I've got my Razer mouse. Yeah, I don't really play Dishonored as a shooter. Don't judge me. Yeah, people get really upset. It's like, people get so mad if you don't, if your game doesn't support every single controller setup these days. Buon pomeriggio. Hello to you as well. Buon pomeriggio. Yeah, but sometimes, you know, you have problems if there's like an Xbox controller and a PS4 connected, both plugged in, and then sometimes like people like to switch back and forth between them, so we have to do like hot swapping. Anyway, just getting the basics is so much work. Like save system and, you know, working with different controllers. I guess it's like when people complain about all the Android screen sizes. Man, good for you for trying to fix it. I think the thing you're supposed to do these days is just get a new one. Wait, what does how exactly does a controller affect a broken cable inside the controller is causing a blue screen of death on your PC? Hey, Eddie. Yeah, and it's like it's always the most vocal people are the ones for whom your game doesn't work. Like you can support all of these, and then like some, you know, this tiny one that nobody uses. They're the people leaving all the negative reviews. Oh, the USB input? There's a guy working on a custom controller Tyrannosaurus. He's in the chat sometimes. Which is pretty cool. He's like the only person I know that's making a custom controller. A friend of mine reinstalls Windows every... A friend of mine does a fresh install of Windows every 3 months. Apparently he uses that to kind of reboot everything, you know, get rid of, you know, if he's not, he reinstalls all the software if he hasn't been using it. Then he yeah, then he just doesn't install it, kind of a way to kind of keep it fresh. That is a ton of work though. I actually think I'm on VS Community. Jet works for the man. Yeah, don't badmouth Windows 10. What? Huh, that's weird. It's over. Am I tying game parts together by some... Yeah, it's a very abstract narrative. It is very abstract. What? Why are the others not showing up? Yeah, it's not just new locations, new puzzle types. The whole game is sort of one giant puzzle. Hey, Cruz. Welcome. Trying to figure out why this level is only growing part of it. I think it's because it has to be like I think it's because those boxes have to be tagged as environment. Oh, yeah, there we go. Alright, that is working. This level is way too big. Come on. It's Monday. It's already going to happen. Yeah, it's too. I'm just kind of finishing up some last little bit of details. connecting up some remainder levels, and then, well, start playing the game from start to finish. As far as I'm concerned, most guys with technical background miraculously do not really pay attention to narrative. I read The House of Leaves. I guess that's postmodern. So I do care about narrative. In many ways, Manifold Garden is an experiment on narrative without words, right? Because it is a journey that you go on as the player. It's about your journey in this space, and it's the narrative. I've talked about this game as a metaphor for the last 400 years of physics. I do think there's this misconception that if there's no dialogue or there's no characters, that means there's no narrative, and I don't think that's true. I'm not a huge fan of those kinds of narrative in games. One example, I guess, is Firewatch is a good game, but I think when we look at games like Firewatch or Gone Home, there is an unresolved dichotomy there, right? Because the way it is that you're controlling the character, but the character knows stuff that you don't. Like in Firewatch, you're playing this guy Henry, and Henry knows stuff about himself that you don't know, and to me those are, like that stuff is never resolved. I don't want to play as Henry. I want to play as me. Yeah, you gotta. I don't know how you work with only one monitor. By the way, Gruz, how is Copenhagen? And hello, Mega Spell, rendering explosions. Right, but then I wonder if that type of narrative, then you have to ask the question, well, are video games really best suited for that kind of narrative? I do I like the Stanley Parable, but that's playing with the narrative. That's playing with the tropes in video game narrative. Hello, funny guy, and thank you for the Twitch Prime subscription. By the way, you've got Yeah, it's sort of it's more like it's more like what's being done with The Witness. Okay, Funny Guy 77. He's another game dev streamer. He's working on this survival game called 40. I think you still have not explained to me why your game is called 40. Copenhagen. The Mads, there's like, I'm trying to think about who I know is based in Copenhagen, but I'm also a little worried that they're, I have to admit, I just sort of think of all of Scandinavia as one region. Dark mode combo. I think if you're interacting with other characters, then you need to either do like an amnesia mute. Yeah, right. That's always like. Fallout. Oh, hey. Like your face got totally damaged. Can you tell me what you look like? Yeah, did you guys I think Mads was at the there's like there's a penis museum, I think. And I don't know if you guys saw that tweet, but there was like a game dev studio that's just down the street, and they had to put a picture on their door that's like, no, this is not the penis museum. It's 2 doors down. I think it was like Mads or something. I'm not gonna search for that on the stream. Devolver. Yeah, genital jousting. That's the Broforce guys. Oh wait, no. This needs to be a yellow cube. I've not played that game yet. I'm not sure if they want to just specialize in genital related games. I have. We actually did talk about it all the time here. In fact, you can do. Oh, I didn't realize you can have other channels. But I actually played through Nae-sensei and talked about it. And yeah, if you like Nae-sensei, then you've got to check out Blame. One thing I did not take into account when designing this was Dark Mode Cube. Original spawner. Alright, here we go. Alright, let me test this level now. I think it was it was a spelling mistake. I think he was apparently going for, because they pronounce it blam. I guess he was going for the sound of a gun firing, but he's Japanese, so he misspelled it blame. But when the editor saw it, they actually liked it better, so they kept it. Yeah, but then, you know, if your title has an exclamation mark, I don't think you don't really get to dictate how people pronounce your game. The name. Blum. Disney had a Blum. Ooh, this is interesting. Huh. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, there is that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean the game isn't just visuals. There is a lot of that stuff. Oh, Miega Kure? It's the Mark Tenbosch game. People in the chat are actually more excited about Miega Kure than Manifold Garden. They're just here because Mark is not streaming. Yeah, you won't really get spoiled. I mean, the way I'm working on it is kind of like convoluted and weird. And things are gonna change a lot in the final version as well. I mean, there's a little bit, of course, but like I'm not really talking about how to solve the puzzles or anything. You know, you'll probably just like recognize places that you saw me working on. Yeah, I like with designing this too, I sort of err on the side of being more Huh. If VR is still around, I'm not. I don't have as much faith in VR as I think some of you do. Yeah, I think the best VR applications are not necessarily games. So I think in that, like, it's a cool novelty thing, but and it does seem like all the big studios are focusing less on it, right? Certainly we're seeing like even Bethesda, they're not putting a new IP on it. Hmm. Yeah, I love that stuff. I don't know about level editing in VR. It's so clunky. Like, you don't have hotkeys. You can't look at you can't like be drinking water uh, while you're working. You can't have reference images. The potential for full body. Yeah, although, it would always have to be in a room, right? So, like, a lot of games use teleportation. That always feels like a bit of, it always feels a bit more like a compromise. Yeah, it does have a camera. It's sort of distorted, right? Because it's taking in like a single image. So it's not it doesn't look like, it looks like you're looking through a screen that's got a camera. Whoa. It's good. Hey. Hello there, Boston, Mass. I feel like the new what it's Knuckles from Valve, looks like it does that. There's been, yeah. The thing with those exoskeletons though is it's so much work, right? Um, I should put this closer to the door. Yeah, at some point you're just like, I think it's more fun to... Like, I downloaded VR Pool from the Vive just because someone said had a really good sense of presence. And I would agree. I thought the sense of presence in the game worked really well, but actually playing pool was not that much fun. You had nothing to lean on. Cool. I don't think you've mentioned that before, no. Why would you need nonlinear spatial remapping for that? There's been this new change to the, and it like keeps, it actually sort of messes up. No, there's just one directional light. Yeah. thing is really annoying. Alright guys, I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break. I'll be right back. Hey, Dr. Teal. How's it going? Slow day here today. Come on. Yeah, it's Monday though. What do you expect? Alright, so... Man, this whole thing is, works good. This whole thing's getting, the whole game is getting a little bit too big for me to manage all at once. Yeah, I need to start playtesting so I can start locking down areas, at least as far as design goes. So it's like now we've got all the systems are in. The tech is mostly in. We can't really optimize until I have the whole game out. In the meantime, though, it's one of those things where the game right now is massive, and I'm like only sure about this bit at the beginning. So it just means that in terms of like when I have to make compromises between levels, I'm not sure which one what to keep and what to get rid of. No, there's not a lot of, I mean, there's the menu for options, but not in the game. Yeah, you know what's funny is I never really learned to use LaTeX. That's more like a math thing. Yeah, it really is a spider web of a game. Hello, Hammer's Edge. It's not so much that I forget it, I don't do it often enough. Yes, no one can reverse engineer it, but it's not gonna matter much when I can't even keep it all together. Yeah, just kind of cleaning up some of the details here. Not really. But Unity just crashes a lot. I mean, I've lost more work, not necessarily due to lack of saving, but due to lack of version control. Hey, hey. Cognio, what's up? No, they're still in the game. I did not remove them. I do have an autosave script. Every time I hit play, it saves. But I don't know if you want an autosave script. Sometimes you do screw stuff up. You don't necessarily want to save it. Yeah, I do have a goal. There's like multiple goals, which is why this thing always takes forever. Every time I hit play, it actually saves. when I do these, I have it where when I do big actions, it actually saves. So yeah, I've already got that going. Are all puzzles linear? There's almost no puzzle game with some kind of possibility to actually participate, at least in some way. Not too sure what you mean. Hey Warner, thank you for the host. Warner is another indie game developer / streamer. The puzzles are not linear. I mean, there's so much freedom, but it's not. No, the second part of the game is very, very sandbox-like. Oh yeah, Bart Bros. February. That was a long time ago. I mean, there was more than just the animation. Hello, Crazy Raz. Just kind of like putting in these last little details. This tool is unfortunately this node-based level connection tool. It worked very well when I had only a few levels, but it's still useful, but it doesn't. I'm definitely running into a lot of problems scaling this system. Got a new PC. What are the specs on your system? Is this all the levels? Yeah. These are all the levels in the game. Well, not each of these is a separate level, but each of these is a single scene in Unity. $250. Which GPU is it? That's pretty cheap. 250. I see. I still haven't, we still haven't done like still haven't figured out, taken the time to do, like minimum specs test yet. That's all gonna happen when we start playtesting. Oh, yeah, I think you should be fine then. Let's see, we're gonna have a bunch of, we'll have a bunch of options for people to play with. And, we also need to do our optimization. That's a custom tool. It's not available on the asset store. It's basically just taking, a scriptable object and displaying it like this. I actually did not write that one myself. The programmer who was helping me at the time wrote that. How much time? I honestly can't tell you because I don't really track it like that. Alright, well, okay, so that level is working. Oh, yeah, we need the doors. Alright guys, I need to take a break. I need to take a long break. It's been 2 hours and 20 minutes. Oh, how much money have I spent? Not sure on how much I've spent on contractors. I think we can tell you the budget for the game is somewhere around, I think total expense so far might be around 150,000. Yeah. Oh, John's stealing my viewers. If you want to learn to use Unity, I've not taken money from PlayStation. He's just doing boring compiler programming, though. Thanks. Serenify. A spy. Yeah, no. Money from Indie Fund. Well, yeah, I mean, I think too many people have very I think a lot of people don't know how game development happens, and I think a lot of the like anti-game dev feelings comes from that. People are like, you know, Hollow Knight was made on 60,000. Why aren't you updating us on Kickstarter every day? It's like, no, Hollow Knight was not made with 60,000. How do I break into the press? I don't know if you really break into the press. I mean, you start showing the game and you post on Twitter, and then it just sort of gets picked up. All right, see ya, Tiny Angry Crab. Did I pursue anyone? I mean, you do a bit of both. It's, you know, it's not, you just keep trying until something clicks, right? Until your game is good. Right, at first I'd see you later, Bart. I did try to, you know, I tried to get press attention early on. Nobody cared. I mean, the game looked terrible. So it's sort of a combination, right? You're like you just kind of keep improving your game. And you keep trying to reach them. You know, there wasn't really like one thing. It was more just kind of a gradual that happened over many years. How was my first time in Unity? No, I found it getting it to work was quite straightforward. I mean, you know, Unity makes it fairly easy to prototype. I mean, getting started is the easy part, right? It's finishing the game. That's what's hard. Yeah, having zero programming experience makes it harder. But not impossible. That's not like you can't blame the engine, right? I mean that's like another thing that I feel gamers get wrong. Like a lot of people say, okay, Firewatch struggled. Like Unity doesn't limit you on that. I mean, there's some parts perhaps the engine isn't as efficient, but as a developer using an engine, you just kind of work around that, right? So, like right now, Manifold Garden doesn't run well, but that's not. That's like more my fault. I have a ton of geometry, and yeah, you can, but like. That's assuming you've done all the optimization you could, and then you're just like, it's I think there's a lot that you can do with any of the optimization approaches. Like we have a lot of geometry, right? So one of the things that we're doing, like we're not at that C# level, is just how do we fake some of the geometry in the distance? Like what can we get away with? Right now it's just rendering. It's just got the render duplicate 125 times. It's like a 5x5x5 grid. So obviously there's a lot of optimizations that can be done there. So yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be. Like, yeah, if the game doesn't run well, it's not Unity's fault. Generating the world. No, it wouldn't work. Procedural generation doesn't really work for Manifold Garden because it's. I mean, everything is designed for a specific purpose and is there for a reason, and the whole game is sort of one giant puzzle. Right? I do use some procedural stuff to help, but more in the editor. Like if I want like an object repeated 100 times, I don't do that manually. Like all these steps are created using a tool I wrote. But I don't. It is procedurally generated, but I don't use procedural generation to describe it because that has a very specific. People expect a very specific thing with games. Indeed. Am I just multiplying? Yeah, that YouTube comment. What's so innovative about copying pasting, about making a 10x10 room and copying pasting it 10,000 times? Right, yeah, and this is not. So it's like I use some procedural stuff to help me, and there is some things are random in the game, but it's not. I'm not putting procedural generation as a feature. Have you seen what angry gamers do? Angry gamers are not a fun crowd to be around, at least on the internet. Players using walkthroughs for puzzle games. I'm not designing with that in mind. I'm designing the game so that you don't have to use a walkthrough. Like, if you use a walkthrough, that's sort of, that's kind of a failure on my part with the level design. But, I've used walkthroughs before. I'm not opposed to people using it. But I'm not, I don't design levels and be like, this will be fine. They can just use a walkthrough if they're stuck. That's certainly not my intention. But yeah, in terms of, so yeah, I think earlier people were talking about community building. Somebody was saying, who isn't? I mean, I feel like a lot of devs, a lot of indie devs are still trying to stick with a more traditional type of marketing where they wait until the game is done and then, you know, get it to the press, or relying on a major platform throwing their weight behind it. And of course those are all great, right? Like if you're on the front page of IGF every week leading up to launch, because they're all, you know, I think No Man's Sky was like that. They were on Stephen Colbert, and you know, all the podcasts and all the websites were like, oh, what do you do in this game? Like, you know, all those discussions. That's great. And or like this year at E3, if you're in the Microsoft press conference. But I don't know, those are all things that I feel are out of my control. Like I don't know how that stuff happens. That just sort of does. It's not totally luck. I think there are certain games that lend themselves to that more. But as far as my approach to marketing is to not rely on that and you know, build a community on my own. So like I think I posted it. If you type in !finance, you can see what the financial situation is, and you know, I need to sell about 35,000 copies to break even. Hoping to do that and you know, I'm hoping to do that in the first month. And that is important. Your window is not big, right? People like talking about the next big thing. I'm gonna ship the game, and then next week there's gonna be some other game that people are excited about. So yeah, and so my approach is more like, how can I on my own convince 35,000 people to buy the game? And I think 35 is not a trivial number, but also not an impossible number. You know, like if I was saying I need 1 million people to buy this game, and you're like, okay, that's crazy talk. That's like relying on becoming Minecraft. But 35,000 feels doable, and you know, I feel it's like if I just went around in person, I think I can get 1,000 people to buy the game. Like if I just walk out and talk to people in person, I think I can make 1,000 sales. Right? Show them the game, you know. So it's like, well, obviously with the internet you can scale that up. But yeah, it's kind of like a super slow grassroots approach. I guess like the streaming. But I'm kind of surprised more indie devs aren't doing this. I don't really know what everyone's doing. A lot of people use walkthroughs to avoid mental sweating. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I do it. Like I'm playing Dishonored 2 right now, and there's the Clockwork Mansion. I don't know. I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but for those of you who have played, you probably know the area I'm talking about. And it's sort of like a puzzle, but it's just kind of annoying, and I'm tempted to use a walkthrough. I did look up how to kill a clockwork soldier, because I was just getting annoyed at having to redo the area. So maybe it's like, well, maybe they shouldn't have designed that level to be like that. But would I ever experiment with alternative financing schemes? Maybe thousands of people could pay a bit of money to get a percentage. I mean, isn't that what that's Fig, right? I mean, that's basically what Fig is. It's like Kickstarter, except you're also investors. How far did I get in my education? Standard Kickstarter. Hey, Sky Eye Dreamer. Any conventions? Or conventions? I don't know. I mean, they were helpful for me early on, but they're very, very expensive. I would recommend checking out my devlog. I wrote about, it's very long, but I wrote about every single, well, I haven't written about the recent ones, but for the first 3 years I wrote about every single convention I went to in the first 3 years. You know, I don't do that. My focus isn't on that anymore. You know, like a lot of stuff happened, a lot of good stuff happened for me going to conventions and conferences. I used to go like one a month. You know, Sony saw the game, like Indie Fund, Sony, they saw the game at conventions and became interested in it. I met a lot of game developers. I got a lot of really good design feedback, some press. But they do have diminishing returns in terms of the benefits, right? Like your first time showing at PAX, that's good. Your second, third time, maybe not as much, and that it's still the same price. You know, for me, so I don't focus on conventions anymore. But that's because of where I am in development. You know, I'm a small team. Going to a convention, it takes easily a month preparing for it. I'm away for a week. It's exhausting. It costs a ton of money. So, you know, I'm in a position where spending $7,000 to show at PAX Prime just doesn't make any sense. And like right now I'm talking to 46 people. Well, 43. 3 people just left. But, you know, I'm talking to 40 of you. And I'm showing you guys the game. I'm answering questions. And it's super easy. I'm doing it from my living room. I'm not spending any money. And I'm working on the game. If you're at a convention, think about it, like you talk to a person for 10 minutes. You talk for an entire hour, that's 6 people. You talk for an entire day, 8 hours, 48 people. Like, you know, it just scales so much better when you're streaming. And so I think, yeah, I'm not saying conventions are bad, or that you shouldn't do them, but I'm where I am in my position. I don't think it makes sense to do. How did I give the impression that the game developer life is not that bad? If anything, you should be horrified. Yeah, and it's like people like, you know, streaming is just so much easier. I can show you guys the game. I can show you guys cool stuff that I'm working on. Like, it is so exhausting, especially because I do all these conventions by myself. I'm on my feet at the booth 8 hours a day standing. I skip lunch. Like, you know, you're on you come back, you're sick. You get sick because you're exhausted. You're talking to all these people, and then it takes time to get back into the making the game. And you're like, what was I doing 3 weeks before? Right? You lose so much time, and $7,000. It's $3,000 for a booth. You know, flight. You know, and then it's like I'm flying out of Chicago. Every time I fly out of Chicago, the weather here is terrible. It gets delayed. Like. I did a lot of business trips, and I'm so done with that. So yeah, and like I don't have like a bad conference experience. Like every conference, every convention has been great, and you do learn something. It's just at some point the like cost benefit. You know, I know a lot of people in the industry now. A lot of people know about my game. And I'm not getting like, you know, I don't need that kind of feedback, right? Like if nobody knows your game, you want to go to a convention because you want to see if it gets, you want to see if it's getting player interest. But I've had 1,000 people play the beginning of the game. I need to see, you know, the kind of playtesting that I need now is like somebody sit down and record themselves playing for 8 hours and then tell me about like what's wrong with the end game. You know, that's the kind of playtesting I need. I can't get that at a convention anymore. So yeah, that's, again, check out the devlog, the Manifold Garden devlog that has I wrote about all the ones I went to and like what I got out of them. But you know, it's going to depend on your situation. Yeah, and like a lot of people learn about the game through streaming, so that's been cool. Yeah, college is like, yeah, although we call like post-sec, so like after high school we call that college, but there is a specific like university is if there's a postdoc, if there's a graduate school, that's called a university. So like I went to the University of Chicago, but I went to the college at the University of Chicago. But then you have schools that are like, what is it, like some of the liberal arts colleges, Oberlin College, for example. That's not a university. They don't have a graduate program. So yeah. But yeah, most of us just say going to college. Everyone is not doing this because they're all playing Dishonored 2. So the games being released have super high standards. What I don't know about and the I don't know, I don't think a Kickstarter, I could do a Kickstarter now. That actually, now that I think about it, that might not be such a bad idea. Because the game is pretty much almost done. And it'd be like, hey, a Kickstarter to pay for the music. I think the problem for me with Kickstarter is that I feel enough pressure trying to get the beta out, and I don't have any Kickstarter backers. I can't imagine what it would be like if there's 1,000 backers who all paid money and are now breathing down my neck, right? A friend of mine did a Kickstarter. I think they raised like 100,000, which is not that much. And he hasn't been updating. He's still working on the game, but he hasn't updated the Kickstarter in a while, and the comments are all very toxic. You know, people are like super upset and they want refunds, and they're posting his personal information. It's like, dude, you paid $10. I know it sucks that the game didn't come out as promised, but you don't need to post his wife's phone number there. My passion for balloons? I don't have a passion for balloons. That's a bad Kickstarter, but you know, I mean, a lot of them aren't. That's like that's a rare one. But some, you know, I think game development is just one of those things where everybody thinks they can do it because they've been playing a lot of games. And the AAA way of development really skews. You know, people, it's like, well, Call of Duty comes out every year. Yeah, they have, you know, 3 studios pumping them out. So, yeah, still, you know, I don't think you should be like doxing developers. So I get, you know, I get worried about that. It's like, I don't really, come on. You know, I don't want to have to deal with that. Like I get scared with that because, you know, I was thinking about doing a Kickstarter at around the same time. And, it, you know, I would have been like, yeah, the game is coming out in 2015 and it's still not out. So I could very easily have been in his position, which is what, you know, scares me about that. But fortunately, you know, I went with Indie Fund and people, and they're indie game developers as well, and they understand that process, right? They know I'm working on the game. Yeah. So, you know, that's kind of one of the things with streaming. I'm hoping that it just makes it gives people a better sense of the game, of the process of making a game. But I do need additional funding. Just mostly for like the finishing touches, but those finishing touches take a long time. There are the portals, like you connect them between different levels. The portal has a radius where it decides when it needs to start loading the other levels, the level on the other side. So that's just a radius distance. I think most of them are set at the default, which is 50. So when you're 50 units close to the portal, it starts loading the other level. Not very many. I don't think we have any free assets. Certainly not in terms of the art. I mean, I think there might be some simple tool. You know, honestly, it's 5 years. I can't. I don't know this project that well anymore. I mean, I use Pro Builder, but yeah, I don't have any like art assets that are. You know, the thing with those free assets is you could use in your game, and then people play it, and they're like, "Hey, this is that same door that's in all those other free Unity games." So. GG. Gamergate? Is that, why is there... There's like a collider here. What the... this is weird. There's like some kind of invisible collider here. This is problematic. I don't know Digital Homicide. Is that I think somebody mentioned it earlier. Is that like I don't know what they do. They buy assets but they make a game, right? It's like the asset flip games. Devolver Digital. Yeah, I mean, you know, people buy them, right? I mean, if people... You know, there's nothing wrong with what they do. Like, I don't, it's not what I would do, but, you know, Steam's has a refund policy, so if people buy those games, yeah, right. Like, I wouldn't do that for, you know, my own personal and artistic reasons, but there's certainly nothing legally wrong with what they're doing. Yeah, so that's why you gotta support the creators that you like. Yeah, there's also the Unfolding the Garden. I don't know if I think you've seen those. That's that's more, you know, where I'm playing through old builds of the game and talking about the evolution of the design. That's a good companion to the devlog. It's not as much detail since that's only on the builds. Like, I'm realizing there's a lot of cool levels that I'm not coming across, but it's because I never like made builds with those levels, which is cool. It's like, you know, there's stuff that's so broken and so weird they didn't even make it into a build. What the? So yeah, lots of games on Steam. Most of them are not very good. It's tough. It's like it's being a musician, you know. It's like being a musician. So if you like a game, you got to support the developer. um, Otherwise, it's just gonna be asset flip games on Steam. You don't think games are like music? I mean, I'm saying that the market is becoming more like music. Like being an indie game developer is more like being an indie musician. Damn, that clatter is... I mean, yeah, music is even harder, but games are starting to get like that. Maybe, you know, I don't think it's the lion's share. You know, I'm excited about itch.io, and I want them to... I think it's awesome that they exist. I think they're doing better, but you know, it's not it's really not a factor. You know, I've talked to people who've been on the front page of itch, and that the sales are a fraction of a percentage. You know, a fraction of a fraction compared to being on the front page of Steam. Yeah, but that's not... That's a different... You know, that's a different thing altogether. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but that's a different thing than what I'm doing, right? They're not... You know, my goal is to make a living from the game. I'm not sure what you mean by they will publish for you. GOG is not a publisher. They are that's a distribution platform like Steam. Have you guys seen Into the Breach? It's a new game from the FTL devs. They will help you get your game. I'm not really sure what you mean by they help you publish their game. Like they do marketing for it, or they just put it on GOG. They will publish it onto Steam. Or What's GOG's indie pro? I'm not familiar with that. I think that makes sense. I mean, I never beat it. Still, you played for 8 hours. Oh, they do? Okay. What are some of the games that they've published? That's not publishing. These are just games that are on sale on GOG. It's just the indie section of the store. No. Now I'm jaded. I mean, you know, the thing is, you realize they're just people, right? Yeah, it's best not to hero worship. This is also not. This is not publishing. This is just getting your game on Steam. These games were not published. GOG is not a publisher. GOG is just the store. This is to submit your game to be on GOG. The music, this is the Snakebird soundtrack. Yeah, GOG is not a publisher. Like Humble is starting to go into publishing, but that's just submitting your game so that they. I mean, GOG does choose which games go on their store, but it's not. But the link you gave me, that's just. That's not. Yeah, these are not GOG published games. Hey, Sasha. What's up? No worries. It's not like, cause so Humble is publishing games now, but yeah, that's just I have no, it was more just a clarification. I mean the GOG guys have talked to me about they asked for a build of the game to see if they want to put it on their store. But yeah. No, I was more surprised because I was like, well, if they're publishing games and I wasn't aware of them publishing, they're not doing a very good job as a publisher. Yeah, you should save your work every 1 second. There are a lot of publishers now in the indie space. I feel like previously it was just Devolver Digital. Now there's Raw Fury, Humble. Who else? Tiny Build. Adult Swim. Annapurna. Not sure if don't feel bad. Making this game has been a waste of my time, so Chucklefish, that's right. I guess EA's got that indie originals or something. They are definitely very good. Are guys from Indie Fund helping with promotion? Indie Fund does not help with promotion. They just give you money. Depends. The publisher deals. Some games don't need funding. Some games just want marketing. So, obviously it's harder to, the publishing deals vary, right? Standard is like 30%. If there's no funding involved, it's like 70% developer, 30% publisher. If you get now, I'm not saying this is like set in stone or anything. Those are just sort of kind of the baseline. Advertisements, Let's Players are, yeah. I mean, a lot of it is. I think a lot of that is. I think a lot of game marketing is paying them to play. So sometimes they give. So yeah, if you need funding, then obviously they might take a bigger cut. You know, like maybe they give you funding up front, but then they take 50-50. Sometimes you gotta be careful with that because often it's they recoup. Sometimes the deal is that they recoup first. Right, so that means what that means is if the publisher spends money on marketing the game, let's say you sign with a publisher, they spend $100,000 marketing the game. When the game goes on sale, it doesn't become 70-30 split. The publisher makes back the money first, and then you do the split. And that's kind of, you're like, well, I also put money into the project too, right? So that's something to watch out for. I mean, I suppose that's fair. Maybe, I mean, that's kind of how Indie Fund is. The initial money goes to them, but they're providing money for me for upfront, like they're fronting money. So I don't know. You just, yeah. It depends on the deal. I feel like a few years ago, people were like, oh, you don't need a publisher, the general consensus, but now it seems like with there being so many games and so much competition, I think publisher is actually good. Certainly if you look at what Devolver did, you know, like the press conference that Devolver did at E3 got a ton of attention. I feel like that was, for me and for a lot of people, that was like their favorite thing at E3. It was really funny. You know, the thing had 500,000 views, so that's pretty good. You know, if your publisher can do that for you, that's pretty good. When there's no set. I don't know if any game is a good investment, to be honest, but there's no really set time. I mean, you should probably at the very least have a prototype. Your game needs to be able to, you need to show people why your game's off. And if you just have a design document, you can't do that. Maybe if you're Kojima, right? If you're Kojima, you don't need anything. You're just like, hello, I'm no longer with Konami, and I would like to make a game. And Sony's just like, here's $500 million. Go do whatever you want. But if you're not Kojima, then you probably need to. Can I share how much Indie Fund invested? Not. I'm not gonna say it now because they haven't talked to them, so I don't know if they're cool. But I think so far on the game, it's been, I think we've spent like probably 150,000 around that on the game so far. That's not all Indie Fund, but just to that might seem like a lot, but it's not. If I didn't. The last 4.5 years, I just paid for my own living and food, right? If I were to take a salary, I think the cost of this game would be closer to like $500,000, which is still very small for game development. I can tell you it's not $1 million. Did I have much of a reputation? Nope. Dude, I never made a game before. I've never worked in the industry. I never made a game before. I think I'd been working on the game for about 2 years at the time, and I think Jonathan Blow really liked the game. But, people at Indie Fund must have believed in me, right? I don't, yeah. So yeah, no, I did not have a reputation. Yeah, now that you mention it, I am kind of surprised they chose to fund my game. I like to. I think they were right, certainly in my own continuation with development, but I would certainly like to prove them right with their investment choices and have the game be profitable. If you type in ! release date, you will have your answer. You have to spell it right. Release. Well, you've still got 8 months until Valentine's Day. You've got time. Get to work. Wait a minute. You're saying that's my command. Oh. Yeah, it was the best option at the time. Yes. You appreciate replayability for a game? Technically, every game is replayable. You know, I have still never played League of Legends. Alright guys, I've been streaming for 3.5 hours. I think it is time that I take a break. Let's finish up this. We'll connect it up and then The build system is simpler then? Yeah, I don't know, I mean, if you like League, Oh, yeah. Should I try League of Legends? Or Dota? Or just save myself the trouble and stick with making Manifold Garden? I have played that game. Well, I've played Skyrim. Alright guys, I'm gonna wrap up the stream for now. It's been 3.5 hours. Let's see who else is streaming and will host their channel. Alright, well, Starlight Skies is painting architecture. Alright, I'm gonna host Starlight Skies. I'll see you all later. I'll probably be back on later tonight. We'll do some more level design. And I think once I kind of sort out these details, I'm gonna make a build of the game and try to play through it start to finish, write down all the bugs, and then we'll send it out to playtesters. All right, have a great rest of your Monday, everyone. See you later.